Welcome to the Mile High Mic. My name is Michael Gales. I'm here with my buddy Jamal Kearse, and we are diving into this endeavor, and we would sure like you to join us. Further introductions. I am a Denver native, born and raised, went to school in Denver Public Schools, all around news fan. I like to get into and dive into topics of any kind. Nothing is off limits. I've been a barber, so if you know anything about the barbershop, you know that there are no topics that are not discussed at a barbershop. I'm here with my man Jamal, as I told you, and Jamal is the technical wonderkin of this operation, and you will get to see the things that Jamal is capable of when we do these broadcasts, because the dude is extra special. I'll tell you how I found out Jamal's expertise is way back in high school. We're guys in our 50s, Jamal and I. So, we grew up with stereo decks that our parents had that were silver with big giant knobs on them, but they had incredible sound. Well, my dad's finally died on it about 1987, and he got a brand new, up-to-date, all the bells and whistles. He got surround sound on it, and he got CD player with the dual cassette player, equalizer, had a turntable on it. Now, I was pretty amazed by this thing, and I've used it and did things with it. My dad had it set just the way he wanted, which was really just factory settings. My dad didn't want to do too much with it. But me and Jamal used to, and other people, this is no big deal. A lot of people remember doing this that are our age, making mixtapes off the radio and then dubbing tapes, making other mixtapes, the whole 9 yards. Excuse me. So I called Jamal and I say, man, my dad got this new stereo, man. Come check it out. We can make some tapes, blah, blah, blah. So Jamal comes over, and I think Jamal, this was kid in a candy store action for Jamal. Jamal comes in the house. He starts looking at this thing. It's just quiet. Jamal ain't saying nothing. Jamal's just looking at this thing. So Jamal, I don't know nothing. And Jamal starts doing this and that. And he takes the surround sound speakers and does this thing with them. And he kind of moves the big speakers a little bit. And he's doing this and that. And we start listening to music. And it sounded incredible, right? And this is before my dad met Jamal. Me and Jamal having a good time listening to the stereo. And Jamal goes on home. And my dad comes home, and the mushroom cloud blows up. Who been messing with stereo and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Dad, I just, we did a couple of things, blah, blah, blah. It sounds much better. Put it back the way it was. Dad, I really don't know how to put it back the way it was. So I had to call Jamal over. And this is the first time Jamal really got to meet my dad. And Jamal comes over. Hey, Mr. Gales, how you doing? And blah, blah. And my dad wasn't being cordial. He wasn't being congenial. Jamal, put my stereo back the way you found it. And Jamal began to go into, with my dad, and this was amazing to me because I was too afraid to do it. Jamal started explaining this stereo system to my dad. Now, Jamal about 16, I'm 17, and Jamal's breaking this stereo system down like a fraction, y'all, to my dad. By the time Jamal left, nothing been changed. Jamal played some of my dad's music for my dad. That put it all to rest. And then my dad says, don't change it. Don't change this from where it is right now. So now the pressure on Jamal was, don't come over here tweaking with this machine again without putting it back together. But that's how I found out how incredible Jamal is with all this technical stuff. I mean, I'm interested in a lot of this stuff, but Jamal is kind of like when you see the movie where the hands kind of sink into the thing and he becomes the machine. That's Jamal. And then I say that with all compliments because this dude knows what he's doing and he's always been that guy. And so getting into this with Jamal was a no-brainer, and Jamal is, like I said, he's a technical wonderkin. So we're going to get into this and we're going to be bringing you content, and we just would like you to like and subscribe and just check us out, because we think that what we're bringing is unique. We're not reinventing the wheel by any means, but we think that we're bringing you a perspective that whether you're our age, whether you're younger, older, we're bringing you something that we feel that you can lock into with us and enjoy, and maybe it'll provoke questions of your own and all these things. And we just hope that we can pique your interest enough to check us out. So again, like, subscribe, and click the bell so that you can get our content delivered to you when we create new content. Okay. All right. So Jamal's here with me, and
Yes,
Jamal,
sir.
we gonna get started, bro. Now look, we're not going to dive into the deep water just yet today, but I want to let y'all know. First off, I am a huge baseball fan, and it is baseball season right now. And I realize all you pigskin heads out there, y'all are foaming at the mouth because training camp just started in the NFL. And I get it. And the last thing you want to hear is some seam head talking baseball with you. But if you call yourself a sports fan and you have not turned on a Los Angeles Angels game, then stop calling yourself a sports fan and figure out what to call yourself. Because there is a guy by the name of Shohei Ohtani who is he's that kid that you go and get when the other kids come around and they whooping y'all in that pickup game, and you say, hold up, I'll be right back. And you go knock on Mrs. Ohtani. Is Shohei here? Yeah, he's here. Can he come out and play? Well, sure. Shohei, Michael's here. He's asking if you want to come outside. And Shohei's, well, what's up, man? And Shohei, man, these dudes over here, and we was playing a little baseball with them, man, and they from the other neighborhood, man. They working us, man. Could you just come help us out real quick? And then Shohei grabs his glove and his bat, and he walks over to the vacant lot with you. And, in a couple of hours, them kids done left your neighborhood with their tails between their legs. And everybody is patting Shohei on the back, thanking him because he's that guy. I mean, just an example. The other day, he pitches his first complete game since he's been in the major leagues. And it's a shutout. He did that, which surprised me. I mean, like, God, this first time... I'm watching the game, and they say it when he's starting the ninth inning. This is the first time in his career, pitching-wise, that he had even started a ninth inning, okay? But he had told the manager between innings, between the eighth and ninth inning, I'm going to finish this game. So he went out and finished it. Boom. 1, 2, 3, Tigers out. Game over. They shut out the Tigers, complete game shutout. Half hour later, okay, and keep in mind, when he pitches, he's also the designated hitter in the game. So he don't just pitch, he's a designated hitter. 30 minutes later, Shohei comes out in the second game and hits 2 home runs. Okay? First time anything like this has ever been done. So the dude is he's amazing. And he's must-see TV. The big question surrounding Shohei Ohtani is, who's going to be his next employer? And he's probably going to get the biggest contract in sports history. And I mean money, years, average per, all of that. He is going to just create a new market for pro athletes entirely. And for good reason. He's probably, going to win his second American League MVP this year. And it's hard to figure out who could otherwise be the MVP this season. It was without question Aaron Judge last year. Just a great season. He was a few points batting average from Triple Crown last year. So that made all the sense in the world that he won the MVP. But Shohei Ohtani is just Mr. Everything. He's must-see TV. And if you're not trying to catch an Angels game, then again, stop calling yourself a sports fan and figure out another thing to call yourself. That's that. That's baseball for now. So the question is, what's going to happen at the trade deadline that's coming up on Tuesday? Some big things probably going to happen. And the Angels have made it clear at this point they're not going to trade Shohei Ohtani because they're going to pursue a position in the playoffs. And a lot of people, right after the All-Star game, the speculation was, would the Angels trade him, and who would want to trade for him? Because without the assurance that he'll sign with you, it was going to be a rental for the rest of the season. So he is, to me, the biggest story in sports right now. I don't care what sport it is. Shohei Ohtani is the biggest sports star on the planet right now. I think that he's worth paying attention to the rest of the season. The unfortunate thing for the Angels is right now is they're playing without another former MVP in Mike Trout who's been injured. Otherwise, I think they would be doing much better with regard to their pursuit of a playoff spot. So I wanted to start with that. So check out the Angels, check out Shohei Ohtani, check out these races in baseball as the season begins to go downhill toward the end of the regular season and into the playoffs. And if you don't know more about the new playoff format that's been in play for a couple seasons now, it is also a reason to check out baseball's postseason. But that's me. I'm a big baseball fan. That's my favorite sport. And just so you know, if you're about to ask, I am a diehard Yankees fan. I do love the Rockies because I'm a Colorado-born, Colorado native, but I have been a Yankees fan my whole life. Long before we got Major League Baseball here in this market, I was a Yankees fan. And that has never changed, nor will it. I am a diehard Yankees fan, and that will never change. And they're struggling right now. So that's why Shohei Ohtani took up all my time talking about baseball, because talking about the Yankees hurts right now. All right? So that's baseball for now. So check it out. All right? And we'll be moving on here in just a moment. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Mile High Mic. Me and Jamal here, bringing it to you. So next up, I want to talk about what's going on with the University of Tennessee Volunteers football program. They were cited for some infractions that occurred while Jeremy Pruitt was the head coach there, and I am not delivering the news to you right now. I'm sure many big-time college football fans, obviously, you've heard about this, and even if you're if you're just a casual college football fan, you've heard about Tennessee having to vacate 11 wins from the 2019 and 2020 season. You know about all this and the amount of money that they're being fined. It's a huge fine that they're having to pay, and they're being cut big time with their scholarships, which to me, that's the biggest punishment. The good news for Josh Heupel and his administration, they don't lose the ability to go to bowl games. That is huge, because in the past, these coaches, they turn these programs upside down, they get infractions, they leave, and then the school, they can't even go to a bowl game for several years. But Tennessee fortunately avoided that when they were negotiating the punishment, if you will, for these infractions. But the loss of scholarships, to me, is the worst part, because they're in the SEC, which means if you're in the SEC, the bar is Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, whatever order you want to put them in. But if you can't go out in the market and compete with them in recruiting, if you got to tell some kid, man, I'd really like you to come to Knoxville and play for me, but I'm out of scholarships, while Alabama and Georgia over here saying, man, we got like 15 left, man. We got plenty of room for you on the roster. Well, you've already lost football games without playing football games. But it's not just the teams in their conference. It's Clemson, it's Ohio State, Michigan, and you got Texas, Oklahoma, you got USC, you got, all kind of schools out here that will have the ability to go out and do something Tennessee can't, and that means use their whole complement of scholarships for a period of time. So unfortunately for Tennessee, especially after coming off the kind of season that they just had, 11-2, Orange Bowl victory. I mean, Tennessee really had a great year, and hopefully Josh Heupel can rally the troops and push forward. I'm not a Volunteer fan, but it's sad to hear about these sort of things. I guess the old Coach Pruitt, he's going to go coach high school at some high school basketball in some small town in Alabama, because I guess he's not even eligible to coach in college for a while. But, these infractions happened a little while ago. but they finally caught up. Now Tennessee had already imposed some things on themselves leading up to these punishments that were handed down to them, but the point is Tennessee is crippled by these punishments, and so I just wanted to touch on that real quick because that's unfortunate as we get ready to start a new college football season. And with that in mind, let's talk about the realignment of college football. Most recently, the Colorado Buffaloes and the Big 12 have decided to reunite. And that's huge because it's been discussed, super conferences, right? The SEC, the Big 10, who's on the outside looking in unless they make moves, the Pac, the Big 12, and the ACC. Well, the Big 12 didn't want to sit around and wait to see what happens. I'm sure the attraction to Colorado was obviously the gravitas of Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. So Colorado comes back home. As we all know, they were longtime Big 8 members, then Big 12. Then they left to go to the Pac-12, what would become the Pac-12 when they and Utah joined the Pacific Athletic Conference. And so they haven't had great success in football since joining the Pac, but it's about positioning yourself as a university, both your athletic department and the university. And so what Colorado's done in going back to the Big 12, and this was, the words of the athletic director at Colorado saying this, they're going to be able to compete in 3 different time zones and recruit in a more widespread market than they have before. And as we've all seen up to this point with the whole transformation of the roster that Colorado's gone through since Deion Sanders took over as coach, is that Deion Sanders wants to create a situation much like Bill McCartney did many years ago, where he makes Colorado a national team. Bill McCartney pulled that off. Bill McCartney was able to get the best out of Southern California. He was able to get the best out of Texas. He was able to get the best out of Florida, and he was able to go into the ACC's and the SEC's backyard and compete with them in recruiting. He was able to go into the Southwest Conference's backyard and compete for really great talent. He was able to go into the Pacific Athletic Conference's backyard and compete for talent and recruiting. And that's what Deion Sanders wants to do. He wants to be able to go across the country and say to a young man, I would love for you to come and play at the University of Colorado in Boulder, and have that young man not just be intrigued, but have that young man be excited about the possibility of putting on the black and gold for the next 4 or 5 years. And so joining the Big 12, I think, puts Colorado in a really great position to do that. And also, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the Pac-12 still has not finalized this TV deal. And the Pac-12 TV deal, I think from a college football fan standpoint, you would have to say it is horrible right now, because the Pac-12 network is not a network that you can find on most video outlets. You can't, if your favorite team is playing a game that's exclusively on the Pac-12 network, you're not going to get to see it. And so you got to have exposure. You got to have exposure. And I think at this point, the Pac-12 has had a decent contract with Fox, but not a lot of exposure with regard to other networks, maybe a little ESPN. But the Big 12, they recently positioned themselves TV-wise. You're going to see your favorite team, if they're in the Big 12, you're going to see them all over the place, right? All over the place, because they're making sure that their member schools have that kind of exposure, and that's going to be attractive. And for that reason, there's speculation that possibly Arizona could join CU in that move. And I think I heard a commentator say that Big 12 is not going to go into the 2024 season with 13 teams. So it's probably a good bet that Colorado is going to be followed by someone else. Maybe not someone in the pack, but someone else is going to join Colorado in the Big 12 to make it at least a 14-team conference. I feel like, personally, my opinion is that it will be a 16-team conference as they start play in 2024. That's what I think. This is going to be Colorado's last season in the pack, just like USC and UCLA. So in many ways, what Colorado has done while being staggered, if you will, they've kind of caught up with USC and UCLA in that their move is not delayed at all. This is Colorado's last season in the pack, just like it's USC's last season, just like it's UCLA's last sports season in the Pac-12 as well. So Colorado's not trying to have a stagger of time, and I believe that here in the upcoming days, I think you'll hear about at least another team saying, hey, we got to make a move. Now, the report is that Arizona's waiting to see what the Pac is doing with their TV contract before they make a decision, because they want their decision to be based on the most information possible. But Arizona or Arizona State, or both of them, I think is intriguing because a portion of the year, Arizona is a mountain time zone state, and during a portion of the year, they're a Pacific time zone state. So for Arizona to join the Big 12 would not be a big shift. During this time of year that we're in right now, they move up an hour. Then in the fall, when the time change occurs, they're in the mountain time zone just like Colorado and Utah. And speaking of Utah, I can't imagine that the move to the Big 12 would not be attractive to Utah, because BYU is going to be in the Big 12 this year. And that is one of the great rivalries in college, is Utah versus BYU. And if Utah was to make that move, first of all, I 100% believe that the members of the Big 12 currently would vote unanimously to bring in Utah, because as of late, Utah's football program they've put themselves on the map. And, as we saw last season, they put not one but two whoopings on the Southern California Trojans. And one of those, that second win, claimed another Pac-12 championship for the Utah Utes. So I would not be surprised to see Utah join CU as well. And I think what that might prompt is maybe Arizona State and Arizona just coming over together. But that's just me. I've heard nothing about that. I just feel like that's natural. I have heard about UConn, and there was another, Gonzaga. I don't know why the Big 12 would want UConn and Gonzaga. I don't understand. They're not bringing anything to the table in football, either one of those universities. They are bringing a lot of gravitas in basketball, and that would be great. Gonzaga does have one of the better baseball programs in the country. UConn actually does too. But that would be an interesting fit, in my opinion. But I think it's probably more than likely looking like, to me, I think Arizona, Arizona State, Utah would make the most sense. But that's just me. And so other than that, I'm looking forward to college football because it's the best. All right? So we're going to take a little break here, and then we'll be back with a little more. All right? Thank you.